Only 2 days left of September. Whoa, ho, 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 ho. Bring on the pumpkins. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Fun Astrology Podcast. Thomas Miller here on Monday the 29th. We are about to wrap up this month, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, even though there's supposed to not be anything to talk about. But before we launch into that, one of the things that I am waiting for with bated anticipation is whether this is going to be a lucky week or not. Hi, Kristin.
Hello, Thomas and Fun Astrology Podcast. Happy Monday. This week is more challenging because of the square between Mercury and Jupiter. Make note if you have a natal placement around 22 degrees of a cardinal sign, there could be a call to action. This weekend, however, are lucky stars days, so use Saturday and Sunday to the fullest. To find out more lucky stars days for October, join the Lucky Stars Club. Thomas and I can't wait to see you there. I hope you all have a great week.
Well, pooh. I was hoping. Well, at least we know what to do. And if you'd like to be in Lucky Stars, we are giving that so much love right now. I got the book over the weekend. What Does Joan Say? It was about her connection with the Reagans, which you really would have to kind of have a context of. I don't think it's a book that I'm recommending, but it is one that I'm interested in reading. But that was Joan Quigley, who advised the Reagan presidency for 7 years through astrology. She literally would tell them when it was okay for Air Force One to take off. She said, here. And just the little bit that I've gotten into it so far, she would time things down to the seconds in certain cases. Well, we're not taking Lucky Stars that far, but what we are trying to do is to bring it to a level where you could have access with your own chart with a little bit of interpretation to that kind of information every month for your own life, for your path. And yes, we are switching platforms on that. I'll tell you what, let's do. I'll talk about that, the rectification, our Facebook group, other stuff, all the stuff going on around here, announcements, let's put to the end. We have some stuff to talk about. You know, we had mentioned that this is a spa. I'm calling this tension in the spa because we thought that, like, with no major aspects all week, it was like, But then we got to looking, I got to looking, Kristin was looking, and then we put our notes together for this week's midweek touch base video on Wednesday. And we were like, wow, we've got quite a bit. And we didn't even cover everything then. So I'm going to add a few things to that today. So we kind of have a package for you that's going to unfold out through the week. But keep in mind right off the bat, as we get our voice ready for, it'll be there. Audiobooks are taking a toll on me, but we'll get the howl in. That's a week from today. And everything this week is kind of building toward that. So keep that in mind as everything unfolds this week. Keep in mind, full moon ahead. You remember the Creedence Clearwater Revival song? Well, not bad moon rising, full moon rising. Full moon getting stronger every day. We won't call it bad or good. It just is. It's a full moon, but it is building. Let's break a few of these pressure points down here. First of all, the one that I wanted to elaborate on is Mars is in Scorpio. Probably haven't put enough emphasis on that, but so much else going on. Today it's at 4 degrees Scorpio. By Wednesday, when we do our midweek touch base, it's at 6. And then by the weekend, it gets up to 8 and 9 and moves on through that first decanate. And even that is a good point because that's ruled by Mars. So after next week, it will start to relax a little bit. We'll have that second decanate, which at least is Leo. So a little bit more self-projection coming up after next week. But this week has been, last week and this week have been tense. And yours truly has Mars in natal chart at 6 degrees. So Wednesday is an exact Mars return for me. And I've definitely been feeling it. How does it show up? Added tension, potential for conflict. Something happened last week. Having a discussion, hitting some points. Some were pressure points, but not in any kind of way intended to be inflammatory, was interpreted as inflammatory from me to another person. I didn't intend it, but it's just that's how strong this energy is, magnified in my own self, but you're probably feeling some of that kind of thing too. So you could either give something that is received improperly, not as you intended, or you could interpret something not as intended. So all of the typical shadow sides of Mars and Scorpio of conflict, sharp reaction. You could go into revenge if you're feeling like you want to get back with somebody. That's part of this energy. Withdrawal, wanting to just get away. And then what we just discussed. Now that pairs with something that's also equally significant because on Wednesday, so we're building toward this today and tomorrow, Mercury squares Jupiter. Now there's a moon progression through here too because it enters Capricorn early this morning, 6 minutes before 6 Eastern time, if you're up that early. But between now and Wednesday, it's moving through Capricorn, and Kristin is going to pick that apart tomorrow, and it's very critical to all of this. So I'm going to leave that for her, but just know that that's happening too. That adds some tension to this because she'll talk about the aspects that it throws off as it goes through Capricorn. But as part of moving in there today, the moon squares the sun tonight. So we've got a luminary tension in the air today all day. It's also square to 0 Aries, which brings it right into the Great Pyramid and that tension and confusion between Neptune and Saturn at 0 Aries. So here we're just building this case for be careful because everything is thematic toward tension. Neptune, things could be confused. Saturn, Lord Karma, something that comes up that if we are not aware and we're not our head on a swivel, as we say spiritually, then something might come up that the universe has been trying to get our attention. And then you'll see this on Wednesday, but Mercury is kind of a focal point thing right here now because it is squaring Jupiter this week, Pluto next week. Somebody put in our Facebook group recently, is it just me? It's like, no, people piled on. No, it's not just you. And that's exactly what I'm describing here. Mercury is of the mind. This is mental tension unfolding. And it's in this cauldron of exactly what we were talking about. A tense moon through today. More you'll hear about tomorrow. The amplification of this mental tension with Jupiter hitting it on Wednesday, building today, building tomorrow, full moon rising. It just is, not good or bad, but it is rising. Mars in Scorpio, ouch. See what I'm saying? So it is something that we need to be very aware of going into the week. Not afraid of, aware of. So let me give you a couple of points, and then we'll cut off the part for the podcast, and if you want to hear some goings-ons announcements, we'll do that right after this. So the first point that I would say for survival for this week, recognize that this is going on. It just is. And no, it's not just you. It is going on. Second thing, we're supposed to be having a spa week. So throttle back as much as you can. If there's an opportunity to quiet things down, putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, not opening email, but once or twice a day if you can do that, just kind of turn the outside noise down if you can. If you can't, then that's fine. Recognize it just is. Yes, it is tense, and that's the third point. This too shall pass. We'll get out of it. This is all going to be interconnected through the full moon on Monday. At least then that other Mercury Pluto is Tuesday. Then at least we'll start to get on the backside of this. Now, another one that people often don't connect or go to when this kind of energy presents itself is physical exercise. But the key word is release, especially if you have Mars in Scorpio or some kind of hard aspect, an opposition, for example, Mars over in Taurus, or one of the square aspects to Leo or Aquarius. But one of the things I've realized through astrology, having dragged this through 60-something years, is that you have to have a release. And that's across all areas. So if there is tension, don't hold it in. You got to blow it out. And the best way to blow it out is a punching bag in a gym, if necessary. A treadmill, a hiking trail, whatever it is, connecting with nature. Huge, huge, huge right now. And it is Mars. So let me say this. Don't forget sexual release as well, wherever you are on that spectrum. But just realize that is an important release too during these times. People often forget this. And then the final point would be, obviously, as I kind of mentioned before, just don't react from that edginess. Could almost 100% guarantee that it will not land well. Okay, that sets you up for the week. We have a great video on Wednesday. Kristin is going to pick this apart with more detail from the moon and some more of these aspects that it makes and that are going on tomorrow. And then I'm going to take Friday off because part of what I realized in putting all of this together is I have to get a few things done that have imminent deadlines, and I'm just overstretched and overworked right now. So there was no weekly video. That's why. So I'm doing my own thing to reduce the amount of stress and thus the pressure points and thus the needs for release. So this is temporary. It will only be for a couple of weeks. But we're going to set everything up well through the week, and then Kristin's Thursday episode will be the last that you'll hear from me until, well, I'll do Merriman, but we'll be the last that we'll do until next Monday's full moon episode. Let me do our Facebook group real quick. I mentioned that. It is the Subconscious Mind Mastery and Fun Astrology Podcast Listeners group in Facebook. It's a private group, and we have just intimate shop talk kind of conversations in there, and we keep all the snarky and all the marketing. It's like we really keep it just tight, straight to the podcast, topics only there. And if you're not a member of that, we'd love to have you in there. Hopefully you can find us. Lucky Stars. Yes, we're moving off of the Buy Me a Coffee platform over to the new website, hightimelineliving.com. Some folks are surfacing who have not been with us for a while, and they're realizing, the website's gone. I can't get to my course. Wait a minute. What? No, it's all is well. We'll get you there. You just have to kind of follow. We started talking about this in early August. Well, mid-July, really, I guess. But so we've been talking about it for a while. But if you go to hightimelineliving.com, there are a few steps there that you have to take, and they are posted right there on the homepage. Do that, and we'll be in touch. We'll get you there. Don't worry. We'll get you there. It's not gone. It's not gone. It's all there. So we'll just get you back in on the new site. But Lucky Stars is in switch right now. We've had more challenges with it than anything, but just stay with me on the chat bot on the new site, or you can always email me, funastrologypodcast@gmail.com. I am trying to be as responsive as I can, but just realize this week I might be a little bit more. I'm going to do exactly as I say, and for my own self, I'm only going to open email up a couple of times through the day. You'll probably hear back from me early in the morning or later in the evening. And later in the I should contextualize that. Later in the evening for me is probably about 6 or 7 p.m. I go to bed early. When it shuts down, it shuts down. There's nothing else to do. Boom, go to bed. But we're asking everybody to terminate at Buy Me a Coffee and then resubscribe in late October on hightimelineliving.com. And the reason for late October is we're going to release the next one on October 25th, 26th, that weekend, but we're giving you a free month. So the later you get in, the later you resubscribe, you get the maximum benefit of the free month. But basically, I'll be reaching out to everyone based on last month's. Whoever was in last month, we're going to keep in touch with you by email and everything. And, of course, it will be announced on the podcasts, especially that third week of October is when we'll really be talking about it on here. So you'll hear it. But boy, we are really trying to make this good, as in what Joan Quigley did for the Reagans. We're going to try to be as close to that as we possibly can in the things that we show you for what's coming up through the month. The focus for this week that we're going to get in your hands is more information on how to overlay lucky stars over your own natal chart. Kristin and I are recording that in the morning, and we will have that out for you later this week. So a lot of extra stuff that we're trying to do and more discussion and helping you get this dialed into your own chart through the month. And then finally, some of you have asked about the Charlie Kirk rectification. I did. I changed his birth time from, of course, just setting it to noon because we didn't have anything. And then I rectified it to his death, which was pretty easy to do with Mars, but that didn't work for anything else. So I changed it over to Pluto, and from there was able to dial it in to his, not only his death, Pluto, but also his marriage tied into that as well. His wife's chart actually did the same. I'll try to do that later, but this will get us started, and that has been added to the rectification course. But that's all I got. Quite a bit going on around here as well as in the sky here, so hopefully this podcast helps. We are going to build the case really well through the week, get you all through this. Okay, have a great one. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good week. Sending lots of love.